Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Wednesday, and all of our guests today on Donnie and Dolly, the team on check, brought to you by our title sponsor, Able Auctions, ableauctions.ca. Nick Taylor is going to join us now, winner of 4 PGA events, and that includes, of course, the 2023 Canadian Open, and on Super Bowl weekend, the 2024 Waste Management Phoenix Open in Phoenix, which is why they call it the Phoenix Open. Nick Taylor, the pride of Abbotsford, the pride of Ledgeview, joins us now. Nick, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Hey, you win in Phoenix, and then you have to play right away at the Genesis. How tough is that to do, to come down from that high and focus on the next event?
Yeah, it's actually 3 of my wins. I've gone to LA the next week, so it's I don't know if that's a good omen or not, but it's been pretty tricky. A little more media than I obviously would typically do. The high of winning, kind of getting draining, trying to kind of recharge the battery. It doesn't get easier, I guess, each time. Not that I would change it for anything, but it's the biggest thing is trying to managing kind of my time and try to get as much rest as possible. So I felt like I did a pretty good job. I think by the end of the week, though, it was a lot of early mornings. I was running out of gas there, so I've 2 weeks off now, and I'm excited for that. But no, it was obviously a pretty decent week after everything that happened in Phoenix.
Anybody who watched the Phoenix Open knows there were a lot of distractions. Nick, what went right for you there?
Obviously the putter was hot for a lot of the week. The first day was pretty much unconscious on the greens, made everything I looked at, and then it kind of clicked back in coming down the stretch there on Sunday. So it was a long week. I think 2 days I played over 30 holes. And the other couple of days, you're waiting around all day and played maybe 5 or 6 holes. So it was a unique week in that sense. But the putter was great all week, so that definitely carried me to the finish line.
Okay, Nick, you know the story. So many players complained about the unruly crowds in Phoenix. How were you able to drown that out? How were you able to focus when it seemed like so many other players couldn't?
You expect that actually going into that week. I think this year it might have been a little bit worse than most, but I think it's a very small percentage of people there that would probably ruin it for a lot of people. And when you're in the final group in those scenarios, there's so many people that it's probably almost easier to drown out some of that kind of stuff. I think some of the videos that come out of they might be on the opposite side of some of the leaders, and if there's 2 or 3 people standing out of 50, it's a lot more easily noticeable. So, it's unfortunate. I think it comes along with the tournament, with how many people are there. There's always going to be a few that stand out, unfortunately, but the majority of people there were there to watch golf and have a good time and try to just root people on. So it's unfortunate that has come of that. I think they'll probably try to make a few changes to make it better going forward. But as a whole, there's plenty of people there that were great.
Hey, Nick, you winning the Canadian Open was just as big for me as when Mike Weir won in Augusta. It was a great Canadian moment. How did that win change your life?
I think everyday life, probably at home, it didn't change a whole lot, but career-wise, it's, borderline career-defining moment, and I think it's something I look back on constantly. So it's, that was a tournament that you dream of winning growing up, and to be able to do it kind of in the fashion that I did, it's still, I think, still trying to grasp it at times. But yeah, I think, noticed occasionally more, maybe walking around town at a golf course, definitely want to go up to Ledgeview. It's fun to see a bunch of members there and talk to them, and that's probably changed more so in context at golf courses, but everyday life is pretty much the same. It's but the last year and a half, I think, really since Phoenix last year is when that was probably a career change and vaulted me in a direction that I wanted to go, and since the Canadian Open and a couple weeks ago, I've definitely reached levels that I hope to, but it's been a great ride the last year and a half.
You're leading the way, but so many Canadians doing well on the PGA Tour. What's Canadian golf doing right now?
It's been a great run. I think, there's been a great change probably in the last 15 years with Golf Canada. And Derek Ingram's done a phenomenal job. They've had the support now to really try to help us move on to that next stage from amateur golf, college golf into the pros. That transition can be very tricky. Going from almost the team aspect at university, and then kind of just going out on your own and having trying to figure out. So they've done a great job there, and I think we're kind of seeing the lag effect and the results from there. So I think there's probably 5 or 6 of us in the top 75, 80 in the world,
Yeah.
which is incredible. And we're all trying to push each other. And I think when one does well, it motivates us to work even harder and do better. So, President's Cup's this fall, and I think all of us are really eyeing on that and really hoping to be there. And, extra motivation with it being in Montreal, being Mike Weir being the captain. It's going to be an exciting year.
What did it mean to have your family in Phoenix, Nick, which I don't think was the case at the Canadian Open?
No, it was incredible. It's to win. You want to make it as special as possible. To have family there, couldn't get any better. At the Canadian Open, my daughter I think she was only 4 or 5 weeks old, so it wasn't possible for them to be out there. And to have them there greenside, you watch that growing up, or when I won at Pebbles, luckily I have my wife and son were there, but you just never know if it's ever going to happen again, especially with them being there. So yeah, that was the best.
I don't know if we've talked to you about this, but Lepp and Stewart and Hadwin and Nick Taylor, what is it about Ledgeview in Abbotsford, Nick, that produces all those great golfers?
Yeah, I've been asked a lot that the last bunch of years, and I think it's just the golf course and the facilities have just be able to create these players that, the golf course for young juniors is everything you kind of need. It's long enough. You got to be able to hit certain shot shapes, drive it nice. But I think the reputation a lot of juniors coming out of Ledgeview is short game. The greens are tricky. They're small. So you got to, just to be able to play well there, you got to learn how to putt. You got to learn how to chip. And, with having a very small driving range and a small green, you have to play a bunch of golf. And I think that's probably what's missing a little bit in this next generation coming up is a lot of practicing, a lot of technique-based teaching, which is great. But when you learn to score from a young age, learn how to play golf from a young age, you get the most out of your game. And I think that's probably my theory on a lot of it. But yeah, it's pretty special, pretty unique to have a small golf course, relatively speaking, to have a bunch of great players coming onto it.
Absolutely. What's next for you, Nick, and what are you working on?
I got 2 weeks off here down in Phoenix, which is nice to kind of recharge. And then we have the Florida Swing coming up, so it's a pretty good stretch here coming up. I play the Arnold Palmer, the Players, and the Valspar, and then after that I'll have some time off before Augusta. So it's a great stretch coming up. I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. So you're obviously not in Mexico, and like I asked you, Nick, what are you working on? I know you're just coming off a win, but Genesis probably didn't go the way you wanted to. Is there an aspect of your game, despite that victory, that needs improvement?
I'll look at everything. Probably every four to 6 weeks, kind of look at some stats where I want to go. Short game is where we want it, so whatever we're doing there, keep drilling that in and working on that. Off the tee is something that I'll focus on a little more. That's kind of starting the year, what we'd love to, and it's shown great signs in a lot of ways, and sometimes still got to work on that a little bit. So I'll work on a lot of basic stuff, a lot of short game that we've definitely emphasize a lot of our time on, but get that driver as dialed as possible because we got a lot of tough golf courses coming up, and I'll need that to be firing all cylinders.
Yeah, like you say, including Augusta. Thanks for this, Nick. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Are you a Canuck fan?
Thanks,
I know you dropped the puck earlier. Are you a Canucks fan?
I've been keeping up with what they've been doing, so they've been playing great. It's been fun to watch. I don't get to many games as I had hoped over the years, but it's been fun to watch them play so well this year.
Well, if you missed the last three, that's okay. That's okay, Nick. We appreciate this.
Well, I do know that, the 6 goals in about a 7-minute span there today wasn't great.
Yeah,
but
not good.
We'll forget about that.
Yeah, they got things to work on. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
You bet.